Hey YouTube, my name is Nick, and in today's video, I want to talk about certain things that you may want to know when you homebrew your PlayStation Vita system. Before I do that, I just want to describe my circumstance and how I had to go about custom firmwaring my PS Vita. In my last video, you might recall that I stated that I didn't have my SD to Vita yet, or my charging cable, or any official Vita memory card. After I at least got my charging cable, I was then able to custom firmware my PS Vita system safely without having to worry about it powering off in the middle of any crucial custom firmware modifications. The reason why this is so important is because I followed the vitahacks.guide page to custom firmware my Vita, and one of the strong recommendations it makes is to keep your Vita powered the entire time as you go through the custom firmware process. While I followed the VitaHacks guide page to custom firmware my Vita, one really important point that I wanted to point out, especially if you're on a 1000 model Vita and have to format the internal 1GB partition like I did because you don't have a Sony PS Vita memory card, is that when you get to the step where it asks you to replace near with Vita Deploy, something that the guide does not tell you is that your PS Vita will reset and then it will undo your temporary custom firmware, especially if you're on version 3.74, where it works similarly to PS3 Hen, where it resets your custom firmware and you lose access to those tools unless you rerun the exploit again. So obviously, after you replace near with Vita Deploy, what you have to do is you'll have to relaunch the web browser and basically hack your PS Vita again using http://jailbreak.psp2.dev and then doing unlock my Vita and pressing unlock again. Because without doing those steps, if you try to access the settings page here, as I'm showing, you will not be able to see the Henkaku settings along with all of these options here. So, keep in mind that while you can get the 1GB internal partition, it won't really help much in terms of trying out full version Vita games because they take up a lot of space. However, while you wait for other things, such as a memory card or an SD to Vita, it will allow you to download demos from the PSN store, obviously. The VitaHacks guide also explains how to format your SD to Vita so that you can make the most of your storage on your SD card, but it also covers the topic of how one installs the PSP emulator known as Adrenaline. And Adrenaline gives you full access to the menu just like as if you were using a real PSP. However, there's one important oversight in the guide that only a single documented YouTube video has pointed out, which I had to search out separately. And this problem is the fact that when you copy over some PSP save files, a good majority of them will work, but some of them are locked to the system you got them with. Allow me to explain. Say you were like me and before I got my Vita, I had a custom firmware PSP with some save files on it. When I copied over my saves to the UX0:PSPEMU/PSP Save data folder, most of the save game files worked. However, when I tried to play Gran Turismo, for instance, it would tell me that I would have to format my save and that I essentially cannot use the save file on the Vita. So I'll show here what it looks like when I tried to run Gran Turismo. And you get this error here. Load failed due to data being corrupted. Do you wish to retry? Choosing no will cause your data to be lost. So obviously we don't want to erase my progress, so we're just going to back out of this. So guess what? Despite this save file being locked, one YouTuber by the name of Fox's Custom Consoles made a plugin specifically for Adrenaline which would allow you to bypass this restriction and use your previously locked PSP save files, such as Gran Turismo, on your new PSP, with air quotes, aka just Vita and Adrenaline. So I'm actually going to show you how to get this plugin and how to enable it. For starters, you're going to want to visit the link I put in the description to download this plugin, which I linked to my Google Drive. And the reason why I did that is because it's kind of annoying that you have to join Fox's Discord to download this plugin. And so once you have it downloaded, then we're going to set up an FTP client so that we can move the file over to the Vita over the internet. So you must ensure that your PS Vita is connected to a network. So in order to start an FTP server on your Vita, you have to open Vita Shell. So obviously your PS Vita is going to have to be custom firmware to some degree. And so to start the FTP server, you have to press start, and you might notice that your settings menu here will look kind of like this. So since we're using FTP, we don't have to worry about USB device, but let's say you want to connect your Vita over USB and you want to copy files that way. By default, I believe it sets it to memory card. So if you wanted to change that, then you can scroll over and change it to SD to Vita. But for our intents and purposes in this tutorial, we're going to set our Vita to FTP mode. And then to start the FTP client itself, now that we toggled it to be in FTP mode, we press select, and it will tell you the IP address right there on the screen. And then you press X to begin, and then you have to configure your FTP client. So I'm going to use WinSCP to do this, and I'll show you how to set that up. So before we set up the FTP client, you should have the Save Data PSP EMU Kit by Fox's zip here on your desktop or somewhere where you can find it, and you want to open it, so double click it, and then you'll see this folder here, and you want to open it obviously with WinRAR or WinZip, and you want to navigate to this SE plugins folder, and you can just drag it and drop it to your desktop. So once you have this folder here, you're going to want both of these files. Oh, I don't know where the other one went. Yeah, you're going to want this game.txt as well. Oh, weird. Strange how I can't see it. Oh, maybe I have to enable hidden files? That's weird. Oh, yeah, that's weird that there's a hidden file. Okay, anyway, so you have these two files here, and now we're going to set up the FTP client. So here's WinSCP, which is what I'm using. You're going to want to set the file protocol to FTP with no encryption, and then with the IP address that you saw on the Vita screen, you want to enter that. So I'll type mine in here. And so for the port number, you'll notice on the FTP IP address on the Vita, there's these two colons after the main IP address. Those colons would be the port number that you would enter. So you want to type in, for me it's 1337 is the port number, and you don't need a username or password. If you intend to FTP into your Vita pretty often, it would be recommended that you save the login credentials, so you don't have to keep typing in the host name and the port number every time you want to use it. And there, so that's my Vita right there, and I can rename it as well so I know what it is if you have multiple clients. And then you just click login and you hit OK twice, and then it will give you access to all of the files on your Vita. So what we want to do is we want to navigate to UX0 PSP EMU, and we want to, if this folder doesn't exist, you just want to drag and drop this folder from your desktop, SE plugins, and put it right into there. But since mine already exists, you can just take these, click and drag and drop it into there. It's going to ask me to replace, but for you it would just ask to copy, and the bar would scroll until it's done, and then you are all set. So now I'm going to jump back to the PS Vita and explain how to actually enable the plugin. So now we're back on the Vita. You will notice that you are still in Vita Shell. So first you have to disable FTP access so that you can close it. So you press select and you hit circle if you're in North America, or X in Japan, depending on your configuration. But circle North America to cancel. So that will close the FTP server and the little icon disappears. Then you can press the home button and respectively close Vita Shell. So now we just scroll down to, or go to wherever your Adrenaline is located, and it will load. So now that we are in Adrenaline, the custom firmware PSP emulator in the Vita, you press select once and you'll see this Adrenaline VSH menu appear, and you want to go to recovery menu, which will make your Vita look like this, and then you want to go to plugins, and if you did this right you should see magicsave.prx currently disabled. Press the right arrow on the D-pad and that should enable it, and then you can go back. Oh, hold on. And you can just double check again, make sure it's there. Yeah, there you go, enabled. Press X on back if you're in North America, and then exit, so it'll restart the emulator. And now all you have to do is launch the problematic game. So again, I'll do Gran Turismo. So you press X to launch the game you want, or circle if you're in Japan. So now we let Gran Turismo load. So now you want to press select, and you want to go to save data, and go to read invalid data and enable. So you'll see that error screen still appear, and you'll see the check mark and X like before, and you have to make sure that SFO file type, or SFO file is type 1 and decrypt is type 3. And it should get you past the error once you set this to enable and these two things. And what you essentially want to do is you want to get to a point where you can save the game. So for Gran Turismo, that means you have to complete one race and a day will pass and it saves automatically. So yeah, unfortunately you have to annoyingly keep this menu up while on the screen. Yeah, you can't close it after you set it. So yeah, just do a race in Gran Turismo anyway, and then it will save, and then you can close Gran Turismo and restart it, and it should work every time.
Ready? Start.
I need to switch the view. Is it select? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, if you use the thumbstick, then you won't mess with any of the settings in the plugin. So we're coming up to the finish line here. And then once I cross it, it should save the game.
Finish. Ready? Start.
Okay, so I can just exit here. I accidentally set it to type 3, the SFO file. So again, keep it type 1, type 3 as you play. And X to enable will get you past the locked part. So now Gran Turismo should save once it's done loading. Save in progress, there you go. I should have moved the arrow with the thumbstick, but it's okay. So save complete, there you go. Then you can just close it, press the home button once, and then press X to close. So it'll restart the PSP emulator. And when you go back to Gran Turismo, it should work again. The only caveat is that you have to keep this plugin installed on your system. It luckily doesn't take up too much space, and you have to keep it enabled as you use these locked save files. And as you can see, without having to do anything, the game starts to load, and it doesn't give me the error that I showed before. And there you go. It works just like normal. So before I move on from talking about Adrenaline, there's one more thing that you might have also noticed, which could have bothered you while you were setting up Adrenaline. And something you might have noticed is that when you copied a bunch of games over to your Vita, in however method you did, you might have noticed that they were kind of organized seemingly randomly, or however you copied them in order. So like if you copied, for example, Hot Shots Golf 2 first, and then you copied Liberty City Stories, like it just didn't make sense to me. So I wanted to order my games alphabetically. So there is a tool actually that lets you organize the order of the PSP games in Adrenaline, and that would be called Homebrew Sorter, and it's an application that you run in the Vita itself. Right here, Homebrew Sorter. So I'll also have that linked in the description, but basically all you have to do is you just have to download the Homebrew Sorter tool, and you have to FTP it to your Vita, and I will show you how to do so in a second. So from here to FTP the Homebrew Sorter tool, you want to hold the home button and tap settings and scroll down to exit PSP EMU application, and then just drag and swipe it out of the way like you would any other app. And you want to navigate to Vita Shell. So we'll start it, and then you press select and start the FTP server. And then we're going to go back to the computer so I can explain where you copy the Homebrew Sorter tool. So now that we are on the desktop, you want to open WinSCP, and if you saved your Vita's login, it should show up right here or somewhere in this list if you have more clients. You click login and you hit OK twice. Hit OK twice. And you'll notice that we're still in the PSP EMU SE plugins folder. So you're going to want to click these two dots once, and you want to navigate to PSP and game. And so now what you want to do is you want to take the RAR or zip file that I uploaded for the Homebrew Sorter tool, or that I linked, and you want to extract the folder, and all you want to do is just take this folder and paste it into the, again, ux0:pspmu/psp/game folder, and then hit OK, and it will copy once again. So once that is done, you can close WinSCP, and we're going to move back to the Vita to show what to do next. So now that we're back on the Vita, you want to press select. To cancel the FTP mode, you press circle, and now you should be able to close Vita Shell. So then you want to go back to Adrenaline, wherever you have it saved, and launch it. And now when you scroll down to memory stick under game, it probably won't be organized like mine, but somewhere in this list, I put mine at the bottom after I use this tool, but somewhere in this list you'll see this Homebrew Sorter, which looks like this. You press X to launch it. And then you can move titles accordingly. So let's say I already have it sorted, but let's say I wanted to move exit under Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Vice Stories. You press start to save after you press X to select it and move it. And then when you close this application, you will notice in the game list, it will change the order. And as you can see, exit is now below Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. I'm going to change it back though. So I'll do it again just to show how it works. So the title you want to move, you press X on it, and then you just press the arrow, and you press X again to stop moving it, and then start to save the file, like the organization of the file. So you would just go through each and every one of these and organize them how you see fit. This one, it's just not named properly, but this is Hot Shots Golf 2 in the list. So after you press start to save it, you just press the home button and you're done. And your games are all sorted however you like in your list. Maybe you don't want to do it alphabetically. Maybe you want to go by your most favorite to least favorite, ones that take the longest, complete, shortest. It's up to you, but I wanted to sort mine alphabetically, and that's how you go about doing it. There's actually one more thing that I forgot to mention. So despite this being a Japanese PS Vita, and having set the X and O behavior in the Vita menu itself, like using the Henkaku settings, despite me setting X to accept and O to decline, in Adrenaline, it still had it set with the Japanese controls. So circle was accept and X was decline. The way you fix that on the Vita is you press, in Adrenaline, you press select, and you want to open the recovery menu. And then you want to scroll down to registry hacks, and this is where you can toggle it. So you'd press X to change the behavior, but I'm not going to do that. And then exit, and Adrenaline will restart, and you will notice that your controls are to your liking. So you might have thought that that was the end of the video, but actually there's one last topic that I want to cover, and it involves what you're seeing right now. So some of you might be curious, how am I capturing this footage directly from my PS Vita? Well, there is a what they call plugin that you can use on the PS Vita, which will start at launch, which will allow you to record the screen of your Vita directly by plugging in your charging cable to a USB port on your computer. And the way how it works is it tricks your computer into thinking the PlayStation Vita screen is a camera, and that's how you can record the footage like I've done for this video. So I'm going to explain how you do that, and once again we'll have to open Vita Shell, and you also need to go back to your computer to run the FTP server, or to connect your FTP client to your Vita. So again, once you open Vita Shell, assuming you followed everything I've said so far, for the adrenaline stuff, you just press select to open this menu here, and then you press X to begin the FTP server. So now we're going to switch over to the computer. So you're going to want to navigate to this GitHub page by Zerpy, and you want to download Vita UDCD UVC. And to download it, you just click this link here. I'll have this linked in the description. But you click this link here, and then you just want to download this one right here. So you click it, and save it somewhere where you know it will go. And here's the file already downloaded for me. So once you have it downloaded, you just want to go ahead and connect to your Vita. So I already have my credentials saved, so I don't have to type anything. And what we're going to want to do is we want to navigate to, I believe it's UR0 Thai, and yep, see, it's right there. So you would just take your file and you would paste it in this directory, UR0:Thai, and then you can stop the FTP connection. But we're not quite done yet, because even though we copied it to the correct directory, we have to tell the Vita to basically make these changes. So we're going to have to jump back to the Vita because we'll modify it on the system itself. So you can close your FTP client after you copied it to, again, UR0/Thai, and you can see it right here. UDCD_UVC.skprx is there, so you can close it. And now we'll jump back to the Vita. So now that we're back on the Vita, we're just going to navigate to UR0 and to the Thai folder to make sure the skprx is there, which is there for me. And then what we have to do is we have to go into this config.txt file, which can also be in the UX0 Thai folder, but when I checked my Vita, it doesn't have that folder. See, it doesn't exist. So mine's in UR0, but you may have yours in UX0, but anyway, so mine's in UR0. I go into the Thai folder, and there should be this thing called config.txt. You press X to edit it, and you will see all these different lines and stuff. We want to scroll down to this kernel with this little asterisk line here. Mine's 15. It might be higher or lower depending on what other things are on your device. But you will see all these different apps here that launch at the beginning. So what you want to do is you won't have this line here when you start. You'll want to go here, press triangle, and then insert empty line, and then press X on this line, and then you want to add the directory to the app, which is here already. It's giving me a shortcut. For some reason, it doesn't show up in the screen recorder, but you want to type this, UR0:/Thai/UDC _UVC.skprx. And make sure it's lowercase. And then hit circle to back it out. Oh, make sure that slash isn't there at the beginning, because I just added this here. So yeah, just scroll here. Yeah, so make sure you spell it exactly like that. Oh, I backed out of it wrong, but anyway, I need to delete this line. So yeah, it should look like this, UR0:Thai/UDCD _UVC.skprx. So yeah, again, when you add it in, you press triangle, and then press X on insert empty line, type that in, and then after you type this in exactly, UR0:Thai/UDC UDCD _UVC.skprx. After you type that into that white screen that you saw before, you press circle to back out, and then circle to save. And then what you want to do is, oh yeah, see, it didn't work. I tried to back out with the home menu. You press select to close the FTP server. You press circle to close it, and now you can close Vita Shell. And then you just have to restart your Vita. I forgot to mention that before you do all this stuff, you will need, well, not just a charging cable, you also need a 3.5mm by 3.5mm cable, which I'll show on the screen, the one I'm using. Any generic 3.5mm cable will do, but yeah, you'll need to plug in one end of the cable to your Vita, and the other end has to go into a mic in line on your computer, which I'll show what that little header looks like, the SPDIF header. It's like a pink thing. I'll show it on the screen. And you'll need to plug one end into your Vita and one into the headphone port on... Yeah, one end into your Vita's headphone port and one end to the PC itself. And then I'll show you how you actually set it up in OBS. Okay, so now that we're back on our computer and you plugged in the 3.5mm cable to your Vita on one end and to your computer on the other end, what you'll want to do is you want to type change system sounds, which it's already coming up for me. So you click it, and then this menu or this window will pop up, and then you want to go to recording, and you might have multiple devices like I do here. You can see my Skull Candy Slayer is my microphone. But what you want to do is you want to go through each of your devices here until you find the one that says something like 3.5mm jack, and it can be front or rear, and mine, it should be pink, just like this. So you want to enable the device, and then under the Listen tab, you want to make sure you check off Listen to this device, and continue running when on battery power, and you click Apply, and then I'll explain how you set up OBS. So with OBS open, what we want to do is we want to press this little plus button here to add a video capture device. We want to hit OK on this, and then you should see your Vita pop up in the top left. Now, you may or may not have audio coming through, so what you have to do next is you have to add a audio input capture, just like this. So you can hit OK. And then what you want to do is you have to select the correct device that you hooked your 3.5mm cable into. So for me, it's my microphone high definition audio device. And you hit OK. And then you should be able to hear it in your recording as well. So my display is here because I had to show how you toggle all those settings, but you could just hide yours if you have it up for whatever reason. You wouldn't normally have this here, but you just click this little eye and it would make it disappear. But you'll notice that the size of the Vita screen is small in comparison to my entire desktop. So to fix the size that you're recording in, you want to go to your settings, and you want to go to video, and where it says base canvas resolution, you want to set this to 960 by 544. But since I'm recording, I cannot actively change these values. But if I stopped recording, I would be able to shrink it, and that's how you can make the Vita the full screen of your record window in OBS. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.